Here we go. So welcome to our Monday night call. We're so excited to have Erin. I met Erin in September. So just a couple months ago, we were at our leader retreat in Orlando. And I'm going to speak for myself, but I became instant friends with her. Like, I feel like she's a lot like me in a lot of ways. But we had so much fun. We talked, we danced, we jumped in the pool like at 2 o'clock in the morning. It was so much fun. So she is a mom. She is a wife. She was a school teacher. She's been a coach for 4 years, and she's a teacher turned stay-at-home mom. So I know that's a lot of our goals, and even if it's not your goal, it doesn't even matter because it's just about how she saw the vision and turned it into what she is today. So when her youngest went to kindergarten, her husband told her that she could have 1 year and decide what she wanted to do. So she knew she didn't want to go back to the classroom. And so she started to dig into the business, and that is what changed it for her. And within 3 years, was doing crazy, awesome things. So I'm going to let her take it.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on. I do so, and I'll try to save some room at the end so you can ask me any questions because I would love to answer them for you. But like Desiree said, thank you so much for having me on. I have been coaching for 4 years. A friend of mine, I was a teacher for 5 years, and when we got pregnant with my son, like my husband and I both knew that I would stay home. It was just like a dream we always had. That's how I grew up. That's how he grew up. And so we were determined to make it happen. So for the first, few years of staying home, like we just scrounged and, you just make it work with what you have. And in doing that, teacher, I would go to the gym after school with my husband and but when you have kids and you have those little ones underfoot, like it's just all about them, especially when you are home with them all day long. The last thing I ever wanted to do was, go work out or anything like that. So I went to this mom's group, and come to the table was this cute little bubbly blonde girl, and she just had her act together. She had these cute little snacks for her kids, and she was just the cutest. And I just was instantly like attracted to her vibe, like her energy. And I was just like, okay, what is this girl doing? Because that's what I want. I was at that point where like I didn't want my husband to touch me. I had, gained some weight back after having the babies, and I just was feeling kind of yucky. So we became friends on Facebook. We had some play dates, and lo and behold, one day she put up. So I used my birthday money and I started it, and I did it for 9 months straight. This is back before Beachbody On Demand. And about 9 months later, I just was, you just instantly like feel better. And the biggest part for me though was the community, because I was, stay-at-home mom. And so having those other women to interact with within our little Facebook group during the day to check in with each other, like I just got so much joy from that. And so my husband said that we were going to go to Mexico with my brother-in-law, and I was like, what? Like, you got to be kidding me. My sister-in-law now, she's 10 years younger than me. So I put the pedal to the metal. I went all in with 21 Day Fix Extreme, got awesome results. And he kept encouraging me to put the picture up on Facebook of like my before and after. And I was like, no, he's like, you work so hard, like you should do it. So I did. And of course, everybody, started commenting and saying like, what are you doing? What are you doing? At this time, my coach had kind of been talking to me about coaching, and I just, kept ignoring her. I don't need to do that. Like, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't have time for that. And she, just kept encouraging me instead of, giving the referrals to her. She's like, girl, you should do it. Pay for your Shakeology and then some, and I was like, okay, like, let's just give it a try. If I could help one person, great. But for me, really about just taking care of myself and having that personal accountability to keep it was for the discount and money to pay for my shakes. And as Desiree said, over the years, you know, people kept starting to ask me as my kids were getting older, like, what are you going to do now? Are you going to go back to the classroom? Well, I let my teaching certificate go. And here in the state of Nebraska, I would have to basically go to college for 2 years. And I also have to do student teaching again if I want to have my own classroom. And so here I'm thinking about, like, okay, all the money that's involved with going back to get my college degree. Plus, I've gotten used to this like time freedom of being able to be home when my kids are sick from school. I go up and volunteer at their school, and I just was like having a really hard time making that commitment to go back to work full time. But like people just kept asking me, like, what are you doing? So I had a heart-to-heart with my husband. He loved the changes he saw in me, like my energy, you know, physical changes, obviously. And so he was the one that gave me his blessing. He said, if you want to try for a year, see if you can make it work, then like you have my blessing, like a year, and then we can reevaluate. So I guess I want to share with you just a little bit. It's things that you guys are probably already doing. But for me, like number is like where I want to be. So I wanted to continue living the way we were living as a stay-at-home mom, but also just have that time freedom and some of that financial freedom to be able to travel. Like that's a huge, you know, thing for us. So really for me, it was visualizing like those snow days when the kids, you know, have to be home and not having to stress about like, oh my gosh, like who's going to take the kids or if they're sick. My husband actually, he travels a lot. He's gone this week. He's gone at least 1 week out of every month. And so it always, and that's when emergencies come up. And so having that visualization, like I want to be the one that's home with them, that when, you know, the nurse calls and says your kid's puking, like I want to just drop my work and just go and get them and not have to worry about having a boss to turn to. And so that was the big thing for me, was you just have to have that. And a lot of time, like the income affects your why. And so that much, it was enough that I was at that, you know, pivot where I had to decide, like, am I going to go back to teaching or am I going to run with this business? And I just fell in love with this community and business. And so that was where we decided to push it. So number one, I would say, you know, you have to visualize, like, what do you want out of this? Is it just as a hobby, or do you want this to be full time so you can be home and then, you know, work around your own schedule? Number two is show up for you. And this is so important this time of year because we're all, you know, stressed and chaotic in the holidays. And so I think it's so important not to just, you know, show up and be fancy on social media, but like truly show up for you. And I've been talking to some of my coaches about this who just aren't loving like the fitness program they're doing right now. And I'm like, go back to what brings you joy. Like if Morning Meltdown is not your jam, it's okay. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. So I have a lot of coaches I find in December, they're kind of shaking it up and they're going back to like where their heart is, whether it's Shaun T or Autumn or whatever. I think you really, truly have to go all in for you, which is, you know, so important. And then the other thing is, you know, that personal development. I know everyone preaches it, but it is so important. And I do find like the ebbs and flows in my business. When I am not really into a book, like I have a hard time picking it up. And so I'm kind of at that point right now where I'm like, you know, asking for recommendations because I can tell I need a book right now that's gonna, you know, fill me up. And sometimes it's different. Like sometimes I need a book that's more about, you know, running the business and organizing. And sometimes I need like that Rachel Hollis, like girl, you know, is gonna light your fire kind of a book. So really just think about what kind of personal development that you need right now for you and it may be in your business. And it's one of those things I always find, like when my fitness is on point and I'm like mentally on point, like my business just kind of like flows and I feel like you just have that energy that just attracts people to you. So number two is to show up for you. Okay, so number two, this was a huge thing for me, which was why I joined, was really the heart the community of Team Beachbody. And so one of the things I did that just really laid the foundation for my business was to just create that community in my tribe, which started off as clients before even coaches came into the picture. So what I did was I did a Facebook group. It's not a business page. I do have one of those I made later. But anybody orders anything from me, or if they are in a free challenge group, I put them in this community page. And in this community page, I'll just go live and just share what's in my heart. I'll share, you know, workout moves of the day. We share, you know, recipes, meal plans, and it's not just me, it's also my clients in there. Extra, you know, Kathy Law, Shakeology. What do you want to do for this? So it's just kind of like not my challenge group. I run my challenge group on the app. This is literally like just a community. And so people share their results in there. One thing that's been really fun is we do like a monthly girls' night out. In January, we're planning one yoga studio. And so we're going to do the Bar Blend sample workout, and then we're going to literally go across the street and go to a bar, just to create fun. Because that is, you know, truly what I was missing as a stay-at-home mom. And so I want to create those opportunities for my clients to jump in when they can. When we did 80-Day Obsession, we would go out together to Red Robin on the refeed days and get burgers together and, you know, celebrate. And so sometimes it is about, remember, we went to the movie theater and we watched Friends Thanksgiving at the movie theater, and like we didn't talk anything about fitness. It was literally like just girls getting together and having fun. So that would be a suggestion I have, is just to, you know, think about the community that you have and just create opportunities locally for people to like have that human connection that's not necessarily always about Beachbody. That was one of the reasons I joined. My coach had a little fit club at her house in her basement, and she invited me over one Saturday morning, and that was probably the pivotal moment for me when I decided, like, yes, like I do want to be a coach, because I just love the way it made me feel to be surrounded by these like-minded people who had similar interests and goals. I tried Shakeology for my first time at her house and I was hooked. And so that is something I do also, is I just have like a coach will just come over. I'm like, just come work out with me. Or I'm doing the work right now. And so a coach on my team, like I cannot do the Crucible by myself. And so I texted her one morning, I started, and I was like, I'm stopping and you're coming over and you're doing this with me. And so that is just something that I just love, is just connecting with people and having that heart. And then for my team, we do like a messenger thread to keep that community going. We, you know, do prayer requests, and, you know, we just share about like parenting tips. It's not all about Beachbody. And so I think for me, one thing I found as I was trying to grow this business is when you have this community in place, like that foundation, like those clients, like those became my coaches. And so just like my coach did for me, we just, you know, when you create that time together, it just makes people want to continue and be with you. And so a lot of my clients then became my coaches. I very rarely have somebody just come to me and say, like, I just want to be a coach. It's a lot of, you know, helping them get the results and just, you know, being a part of the community. Okay, so the next thing is to have discipline and action and just do the things. And we all have those business activity trackers that Beachbody gives us. If you're a new coach, I'm sure Desiree has talked about those. I know I've seen other coaches in here sharing about it. But it's just, you know, creating time to do that. I love time blocking my day, and that's basically where you just write out like every hour of the day and you just write in your tasks. And it just is a good way to like keep me organized and keep me in a like workflow. And I put, you know, my workout in there. I put my shower in there when I need to get the kids to school. And then as I go through my day, I can just cross it out. And I know, like, when you talk about like visualizing where you want to go, I mean, you do have to make a priority in your business to sit down so you can live that vision later. When my kids were little, I worked my business late at night, early in the morning. I have, teachers that, they tell me they work on their plan time or over lunch, as they're sitting in the car line. It's just finding those pockets of the day to make this business a priority is just one of those sacrifices that you have to make when you're starting. And then over time, that will just become like a habit, and that it takes patience, of course. But if you just keep showing up and being consistent and having that discipline of when you're going to work your business and keeping that like date and those appointments to yourself is just so, so important. And then another thing I wanted to share with that is also like, think about like the program launches we're having. And I know like Diesel Nation, and I know you guys all have those really great where you can market like, okay, I need to start talking about this now, but go all in when a program is launching. I find every January, like, people are watching. So if you're showing up now, they're going to be ready to roll with you in January. So get a hold of this program launch. Even if Barbland is not your jam, it might be somebody else's. And so I think it's important to just, go all in when a program launches, learn about it, try it, share some of the sample workouts, some of the moves of the day. And then I think that always is a pivotal time in my business too, where I find when I go all in with that, like 80 Day Obsession was a January launch, Transform 20 was a January launch, Barbland. So this is a great time to really dig in and find those pockets to work your business, because it can be easy to sit back and be like, oh, it's the holidays, like I don't have time, but you have to put in the time now if you want to see it flow in January. Let's see. Okay. I think I'm done. So yeah, basically it's just finding that deep why. And I heard a coach one time say, like, when you're coming up with your vision or your why, like think about what you're worried about and use that to help you form your why. And that will really help you. So like for me, my deep why was I want to continue to stay home and have this time freedom to be with my kids. My husband's traveling right now. And so having, for example, on Thursday, the end of his trip, and I could not have done that if it was not for working this business. And so that is just one of our deep whys, and to get the kids involved with that too, because we have, visions of traveling with the kids. But I had to put in the discipline, those late nights until 2 a.m. working my business and having inviting. I like to just say I'm talking with people and sharing this gift with others. But I want to continue to make an impact. And as a teacher, I made an impact in a different way than I do now as a coach. And so having that, purpose, I can continue to help impact people's lives just in a different way from home and on my phone when I'm out and about. And I want to, stay healthy to fight our family history of obesity and heart disease. And I want to show my kids how to eat healthy, and that, mommy's working hard from home, and it gives us that time and that freedom to, do the special things together. And then also just keep, creating that community with my coaches and with my clients. So visualizing, showing up, doing those actions that we know we need to do, creating community, that is like the absolute foundation of where my business went. And then just having that discipline and action and just showing up and doing the things. Okay, let me see. I saw the chat. Okay. Any questions?
So Erin, what's one tip you can give to like the new coaches? Because most of everyone is a full-time working mom. So what are some tips, like 2 tips or something you give that you did to help you onboard new coaches and get them started?
Okay, So I do a lot of just one-on-ones with new coaches, whether it's a Zoom call or phone call, and just really connecting with them that way. I find that helps just to, figure out their individual goals and their own personal vision, because not everybody wants to work this business full time. Like some people just want it to be a full or, little side business. I have a coach right now that's a teacher, and she really wants to stay home with her 2 little girls. And so we just stay in touch daily, texting each other, voice messaging each other, and just, that accountability of, sharing like the business activity tracker. We'll text each other that, like, okay, here's what I got done today. Maybe not every box is in there, but I'm sure I want to show you that I showed up for my business today. So yeah, I just do a lot of one-on-ones and just really, really help those new coaches as they get started individually.
You guys have any questions you want to ask her?
I think some other questions for like new coaches is like really like valid, because I think when you're first starting the business, and of course we all go through the process of, can you hear me? Can you hear me? You can hear me. Okay, good.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure if I was muted, my little Lego. So when a lot of coaches come in, they're very overwhelmed, because the first thing we do, which I think is as a new coach tradition, is you compare yourself to other coaches and you think you need to be doing all of the things. So do you recommend using the tracker right off the bat, or do you recommend them? What do you tell them, and how do you get them to get more excited versus like, oh my God, I don't know what to do?
Okay, so I guess like for me, when I first started, we didn't have the tracker, and I just showed up on my social media just authentically, like, here's my work of the day, here's, a little takeaway I got from it. And a lot of like what I shared was from my personal development. And even like during the workouts, like especially like Shanti, like I'll hear something the trainer says and I'll stop and be like, oh my gosh, like I need to share about this. So I'll like write it down. I have like a little dry erase board. I write it down and I use that to kind of create my posts. And so I feel like at the beginning for me, it was just really that showing up, like just showing up, show the food you're eating, just, kind of like the lifestyle. Because I do think, like you said, that activity tracker, like that can be so overwhelming. So usually it's just like, baby, like this is what we do first. Like we're sharing what we're doing. Because I think if you do go, like you said, that activity tracker, or you're just like blasting it on social media, people are just like, wait, what is she doing? So yeah, because we didn't have that, a few years ago. That tracker is new, but it is awesome. And if you're, have somebody that, needs that like step-by-step actions, I think that is important. And that's on there. Like show up for yourself, your workouts, your shakes, like that's all on there. So, I mean, you could just maybe piece it out. Like, look, we're just going to focus on this for week 1. And then maybe, the next week we'll kind of add in the next piece of it. Good question.
Yeah, because I think the biggest thing too is like, I remember going back when I first started, I just remember I wasn't even working the business and I was just posting every day. And that's when I was referring people to my coach, because they were like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, just go talk to Demetria, because I don't know. And I probably could have had a little team and I just had no clue. So
exactly. Definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what personal development books? Right now I'm reading Own Your Everyday. I can't remember who it's by. It's sitting on my table. It's called Own Your Everyday. It kind of reminds me of Rachel Hollison a little bit. I really like it. So if you like that style of book, that's what I'm reading right now. I don't know if anybody else has any books they're reading right now. I always love getting recommendations. Did you re-engineer how much you wanted to make a week and figure out what you needed to do to get that? No, but I probably should have. And I know, like, for me, and I know, like, it is for everyone, like, you can only do so much retail in this business. That foundation of, you know, having that community and then having those clients become coaches, even if they're just for the discount, that helps create volume for your team. I mean, that's, once you get going in this business, like, you're a team, and that's, you know, really and truly how we can earn money in this business is when we work together. And so it's just, you know, creating those opportunities, especially like in person, I find like it just really helps like amp everybody up, especially this time of year when we're all just kind of stressed out and tired, and like we, you know, just having that girls' night out just kind of re-energizes everybody. So even if you don't have coaches locally, you know, if you have some neighbors or clients, just get people together and just create those moments. And I think that's just really what has helped, is just that volume. And whenever, you know, new products launch, like that just helps everybody. Like when the bar blend came out last, all the volume and those new beach bars is like, you know, it all just comes up together. But yeah, reverse engineering would be great. But like I said, like when I started this, like my coach and I, we did not know what we were doing, and we just kind of piddled and figured it out. And like so many of my late nights, like I was watching like YouTube videos of Melanie Mitro, and because my coach, her immediate upline, like she didn't have anybody giving her launch plans like you guys get from Desiree, and like we didn't have that, and so we just kind of had to figure it out as we went. And for us, it was that heart of just the community and working with people, and is really what helped us from the beginning. So that would just be one of my suggestions, is just how can you create the community? I know I saw Stacy, you just went on a girls' night out with some girls and had a great time. Your challengers,
it was so much fun. I just try to do simple things too, like literally like just go to coffee and talk about nothing on purpose, nothing Beachbody, because I don't want it to be, I need it to be friendships. I want to talk about, you know, my life and Legos and dancing.
Yep. And the coaching, it just kind of comes up authentically then, you know, when you're talking with people and inviting them. And if you always notice you have challengers that are just really like sharing their heart in your challenge groups. It's just, you know, reaching out and inviting them. You ever thought about this, you know, and just kind of planting those seeds, I think is so important. We also we live by a military Air Force base. And so I find that we have a lot of military families. And so, you know, Beachbody has that great military discount. So that's something also to kind of just think about the people in your life that are in the military, because this is such a gift that we can give them to thank them for their service, being able to get this awesome discount. Stories that stick. Yes, I've not read that one yet. I have that in my Amazon cart.
Erin, can you explain the military discount? Because some people don't know about that, I don't think.
Yeah, so someone can sign up for a coach, and the enrollment fee is $39.99 to sign up for a coach. But there's a form they can fill out to get that reimbursed. It's an online form, and they just have to show proof of their military status. And so they submit that form, and it reimburses the $39.99. But if they sign up with the challenge pack, that's waived anyways. And then what it does is it waives their monthly coach fee, the $15.95 coach fee. They don't have to pay that once they submit the military waiver. Yes, it works for veterans. They don't have to be active. And if it's active duty, it's their spouse or the active military can be under their name. A lot of times I'll have like a wife of a veteran, and it can't be in her name, it can be in his name. Yeah, that's awesome. It helps so much to get that fee waived. So yeah, definitely consider that when you're reaching out to people. And that's like one question I always ask people when I'm like, are you military? Just asking. And I have some people that even like sign up their grandpa under their grandpa because they want that discount.
That's awesome. Thank you, Erin. You're so
You're
sweet.
welcome.
I love it. Yeah, so we were talking about when you're building a team and you're talking about income and all that, people don't know about the residual income, like how much that changes your life, because you can only sell so much to make
Exactly.
income. And people just don't know until they start seeing it themselves. So it's nice to have, you know, like other people share too how they did it, because that is where income comes from, is your team and all the volume. So,
For sure.
and definitely love the community. I know our team has been doing that. I've been doing it the last 6 months, reaching out more, but I think like Christmas New Year's party, which is people in our neighborhood, coffee we've been doing. We've been talking about all things we can do, like starting the beginning of the new year. So that's huge. If you guys live in a subdivision, that's so easy to like, I know our subdivision has a Facebook page, and you can talk to people on there and just get people together for brunch, like super easy things just to build community. So awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for taking your time to do this.
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah,
and I've got it on recording, so I'll send it to everyone. So you guys have a good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.